Okay, folks. So I just wanted to make this. Well, I was going to say quick, but I really don't know how long it's going to be. Video on dual affiliating in MCP in 2025. One of the best things about MCP is its flexibility in its roster creation and the characters that you can choose. With well over 200 characters in the game now, there are no real restrictions on who can be deployed with who and who you can take to the battlefield. You are rewarded as a player for selecting affiliated models and running the affiliation. You will get bonuses with your tactics cards, bonuses by taking an affiliated leader. So every character in the game, for the most part, has at least one affiliation, if not multiple affiliations. So you can find that you're building a roster and you're noticing, oh, actually, I'm aiming for this affiliation, but I've got this number of characters that are also affiliated with this, and it can lead you down little rabbit holes of whether I should be dual affiliated. And by that, in this regard, I mean that you're running a roster with two possible leaders from two possible affiliations. And there's always been a bit of a debate about whether you should or shouldn't, and I've created myself. I've generally run mono rosters, but with splash characters. It was only recently, in the last couple of months, that I started considering this a little bit more, and like why would I realistically, like, just because I can, should I? Is the kind of logic there? Just because it's possible, does it mean it's good? Examples of this, I should say, are probably like Avengers and Defenders have a lot of characters that cross over. Web Warriors and Midnight Suns is one that we'll be looking at here, because this is what I've been experimenting with recently and took to a tournament over the weekend and managed to come in first. Now, it's only a small one-day event. I'm not saying this is the best roster and I'm the best player in the world, but I went in with the roster creation with a plan in mind, and it ultimately worked. So we'll discuss how I went about creating this roster and what my plan was going into it, and hopefully how that can maybe give you guys some insight into your own roster creation and whether dual affiliating is something you want to do. The first thing I end up asking people when they talk about dual affiliating is like, okay, is dual affiliating, is that answering a question that the main roster, the main leader, the main affiliation that you want to take isn't answering? So if you're playing a particularly crisis-orientated, a scoring-orientated team that wants to run around the board, generally run quite wide, but struggles against the real beaters and the attrition players, perhaps you want to have a little bit of a flex into a slightly more aggressive team. Or perhaps there's just something that a particular matchup or a particular threat level that your current roster just doesn't work at, and you can splash in a different leader and a couple of tactics cards, and all of a sudden it opens up opportunities. These are kind of where you need to be able to go, okay, I can take this other leader, I can put in these other tactics cards. To answer a question, is it just going to give me more points where I need to think about, oh, do I want to run this team, do I want to run that team, when you're going into a game? Like, for casual games, this that's absolutely fine. Like, experiment with it, have fun, and it just means that when you're building a roster that you can take casually, yeah, you can flex things, you can have more fun, try more stuff out. I'm talking about going to events, going to tournaments, where time is of the essence. You kind of want to have some of those decisions already made for you when you're coming up to the board. You've done your crisis selection and you're building your squad to go out onto the board. Let's talk about the squad that I've got here. So this is a Midnight Suns / Web Warriors roster. Maybe not the most immediate one, like, pairing that comes to mind, but there's a couple of key characters in Black Cat and Moon Knight that cross over. So both are affiliated in Midnight Suns, both are affiliated in the Web Warriors. Gwen, Ghost Spider, I've always found her really useful. She synergizes really well with Blaze leadership. The Bump in the Night ability allows her to get the ball rolling on her spider technique early on, and so she's often been a character that I've splashed in there. The recent edition of Man-Thing, back here, I found him absolutely invaluable at the moment. Yes, he is only affiliated in the Midnight Suns, but his ability to move people around, move them range 3, multiple people, is absolutely invaluable for repositioning it, and it plays into the Web Warriors game really well, is what I've found so far. And harking back to saying about answering what questions is one answering, this was basically the simple rule I took here, and I'll post the full roster up with the crisis and the tactics cards in here. So yeah, so the basic plan was, if I'm running my secures, we run the Web Warriors. They are 3 secures that they really much like, with Riots, Infinity, and Scoundrels. Good number of points on the board. Wide scenarios, I can rotate, generally outpace and outscore my opponent to win the game that way. If I'm given my extracts, usually when I don't have priority, but again, we'll talk about that a little bit more when I come into the games, then I'm running the Midnight Suns. The crises there are Fear Grips, Senators, and Terrigen Canisters. So Terrigen Canisters, it's a 5-wide F-shaped map. Potentially poisons you and makes you move slow. Doesn't give you the slow condition, so things like Blade, he can still use medium advance on his Knight of the Dampier. Hulk, immune to poison and already moves short. Man-Thing already moves short. It's not stopping his teleport. It's not stopping things like Black Cat's grappling hook. And Moon Knight, he can get another move. Things like, he's not on the list as well, but Ghost Rider, he could still use his long advance from Hell on Wheels. ASM, if he was to make it, can still use a medium advance on his Spender as well. It just means that when you do a move action, you can only move short. And again, it's slowing down my opponent. We've got the advantage as Midnight Suns by having the bump in the night to do that additional place each turn under Blade. So that was my thoughts there. It's 3 extracts that favour me. Hammers is just a great one for Hulk. He can start on one and pick up one of the side hammers in his first activation, immediately puts the pressure on, just makes him an absolute beat stick. The other 2, Senators and Terrigen Canisters, they slow your opponent down. We have a slight speed advantage by being Midnight Suns, and it's going to bring them into more of a fight that I want to do. And yeah, as the event kind of unfolded, turned out I didn't win priority for any of my games. And 2 of those games, I was given my secures. So I guess my logic on taking extracts that other people don't want to play on paid off. So yeah, my first 2 games, lost priority, still played on my secures, still played my Web Warriors, stuck to the plan. And the other pattern here, all day, we played Infinity Formula. So again, Infinity Formula is just weird that we played that all 3 games, even on the last one when I was given my extracts. The final game, we were the only 2 players to be 2-0 all day, and I was given my extracts, so yep, stuck to the plan. We drew Terrigen Canisters, and I was locked to 17 in each game as well. That was an interesting one. So the new Crises pack, I think we looked at it, and I think most of the Crises are at 17, so it wasn't that bizarre. But yeah, locked at 17, and again, going into the event, I had my plan for rough plan about what I'm going to run at each threat level. Again, the plan for the extracts is pretty much always going to be running Blade and Hulk. If I'm at 17, it's adding in the 2-3 threats. Terrigen Canisters, simply adding in Black Cat and Man-Thing, because they had those additional movement capabilities to counteract the downside of the Terrigen Canister. Again, at 17 for the Web Warriors, it is basically run 5 wide with Miles, Gwen, Black Cat, Moon Knight, and ASM in each game. Things I might change, and one thing that you might notice, I am slightly... there's too many models here. I did bring along Spectacular Spider-Man to show here. I think this is the one change that I might make to the roster in future. ASM, again, it's only 2 games out of 1 day. He didn't necessarily perform too well. I've played a lot of games with him, and I've seen what he can do, so it may not be an immediate change, but he was a bit of a letdown on his offensive capability, And you know what? It might have been better each game where I'm running at 17 instead of running ASM. I run Spectacular and Wong. Web Warriors love having the extra power, as it proved being on Infinity Formula. Wong pass it out to heal. Could be super helpful. Getting rid of some of those conditions. I played Midnight Suns in my first game. I played against Midnight Suns in the first game under Elsa, and having Root handed out was not fun. Again, lucky I was in Infinity Formula, and it kind of counteracted some of that. I would still have the safe grab option with Cat and Spider, because Black Cat was coming in each game, and Spectacular just kind of offers me a little bit more of that control that the Web Warriors like, and that I was enjoying, like just be able to maneuver other people around. He complements Gwen quite well. So it's something I might mess around with, experiment a bit more with Spectacular. ASM, however, has been absolutely brilliant in other games. He just didn't roll too well, but I can't complain. We still won the event, taking out some very, very tough games against Elsa Bloodstone led Midnight Suns, First Avenger led Avengers, and then a very nice Hydralist on Terrigen houses, which was very tricky when they're pretty much ignoring all the poison aspects, and again handing out a load of conditions to myself. So that is some of my thoughts on on dual affiliating your rosters. Consider what the first thing to ask, like, why would I be doing this? If I'm doing it just because I can, if you're gonna have fun with it, have fun with it. But if you're taking it to an event and dual rostering needs to answer a question that your main roster can't answer, with the way the game is and how big it is now, pretty much every roster has access to 2 leaders, which again can add just more complexity if you include them both as to who you take. Each game I could have run, I was running the Web Warriors. I guess I could have chosen between Miles and ASM. I'm running Miles each and every time. ASM's leadership is brilliant, but I feel I need to design things around it a little bit more, include some characters that can actually hand out slow. Hawkeye has been absolutely brilliant, it being included in some of those rosters, handing out slow from range 5, and then being able to move characters off points and still hook arrow away. Absolutely brilliant there. But this one, I enjoyed the experiment, enjoyed the success that they brought. The plan worked. Stick on my secures and be safe with the Web Warriors, outrun, and if I'm taking my extracts, we go a lot more fighty. We can go a little bit more narrow. Generally, I'm running 5 to 6 wide with the Web Warriors, and the Midnight Suns, because of the inclusion of Hulk, it's a BT team. It's generally running 4 wide. I can probably get up to 5 wide at 19, and I can get 5 wide at 19 and 20. Whether that's the best option, I don't know. The 2 squads do complement each other. It's also making sure you've got room for those tactics cards. The other thing, if I'm going solo or mono affiliation, there are probably more options within each affiliation. I'm really enjoying Elsa's Bloodstone at the moment, so running mono Midnight Suns has been great. I've got a roster there that I've been testing out with the new monsters and going with less Hulk. And again, going mono Web Warriors, being able to focus in and actually have that flexibility to go into ASM's leadership a bit more. Where else would I dual affiliate? I mean, this isn't the only option. Defenders could also dual affiliate quite nicely. Daredevil is both a Web Warrior and a Defender, and again, he's a leader, so there's options there. Doctor Strange is also a Midnight Sun and Defender leader. We might be seeing an update for him in a few weeks, which would be interesting. Avengers in Defenders as well. They share quite a few characters. But again, it's all about whether the single roster can do it, or whether you need to put in these splashes out, or is it just going to be confusing your opponent, like the way I did, and like forcing their hand a little bit more. So it's interesting to consider. Is dual affiliating dead in 2025 in MCP? No, of course not. Is triple affiliating a thing that you want to do? I don't know. Maybe we look at it. Maybe talk about, maybe that is a thing where I include Daredevil in this mix somewhere. Maybe, I don't know who would come out for that. Perhaps ASM, but then ASM's brilliant safe grab. Maybe that's an option. I haven't considered it. Maybe we look into it. again, it's about asking, is that going to answer a question? Is Daredevil's leadership going to be better than Blades, or going to be better than running Miles and having access to those tactics cards? The other thing, the tactics cards that open up, are there certain tactics cards you want to be using? That's what you need to answer. A-Force, I think, is a brilliant opportunity to splash in places or have other characters splash into. Wakanda, you've got both with A-Force and Wakanda, or A-Force and S.H.I.E.L.D. Both Okoye and Shuri are affiliated in Wakanda and A-Force, and I think Panther works nicely in A-Force and She-Hulk's leadership. And again, She-Hulk is in both A-Force and S.H.I.E.L.D., and including her in there, Nick is just brilliant everywhere. So what are your thoughts, guys? Do you dual affiliate? Do you include two leaders from different affiliations? Are you preferring just to include two leaders from the same affiliation, or do you just stick with the game plan of I've got this one leader, one affiliation, I've got my splashes that I'm happy with, or are you running fully affiliated? Let me know in the comments, guys. And thanks for watching this first video. Hopefully I'll get a few more up down the line. Cheers.